This is a good example of things that you can get for free in a lesson when you're not actually looking for them, which is why you've got to keep an eye on other things that move throughout the action when you make subtle changes. So this is Scott. He plays off of 8 handicap. Came in saying that his low point, or his arc depth, I should say, divot depth, was a little deep. His low point distance was pretty good, so his angle of attack was good, but the divot depth was just getting a little bit too in the floor, so the strikes were a little bit high on the face and slightly in the heel. So we originally assessed Scott and looked at when his vertical force was kicking in, i.e. here at the bottom, and we can see his vertical force was kicking in sort of down towards the golf ball at impact. Now, obviously, that's far too late. Most people look at the vertical force in terms of how they can sort of generate extra speed into the club head. But what we were looking to do was to try and pull the sweet spot more out of the floor, enabling him to land the club a little bit cleaner. Now, obviously, that's gonna change the divot depth, and also the strike location is going to be more favourable for the toe side of the golf club as opposed to the heel. Now, on viewpoint B, which is the one we changed, we can see the vertical force is happening significantly earlier in the swing. We can see the club head in space is miles higher relative to when it's peaking down at the golf ball here. But Scott also likes to play a draw, and we can also then see on his exit points on the initial position, we can see exit point was a little bit low relative to the shaft delivery plane. And this is just something that we got for free. As he was sort of exiting with his pelvis extending a little bit more freely, if I just pop him through into follow-through position here, we can see the exit of his golf club is in a much better place to hit a draw. It's pretty matched up to the delivery plane, or even slightly higher than the delivery plane, so perfect for a draw pattern. And we can also see, if we look at the club face, we can see that the face is open to the shaft on the left here, whereas the face is matching the shaft or even slightly closed to the shaft on the right hand side. So all of this is encouraging him to hit a fade, move the swing direction to the right, let the face rotate past the shaft. Everything here is encouraging him to work the ball from right to left. And all we did there was we got all that for free from a consequence of him trying to elevate his pelvis out of the floor that little bit earlier to pull the sweet spot out of the floor, which is why you've always got to keep an eye on things that are being affected throughout the action. We can see here the club is a little bit more behind the hands at P6. Now, all of this was stuff we got for free while working on that pelvis lift. So it's really, really important, if you make a change, just to bear in mind it might make some changes for the better elsewhere, but it could have also had a negative effect and made a worse change and made it even harder for him to hit a draw. So tell of the story here is that we want to keep an eye on anything that we change for knock-on effects, for things that are happening further on in the action.